Hi, it's Saturday the 12th of December. You know, last week I was saying I like numbers, and when my phone said the date this morning, it was 12/12/2020. I thought, like that. That's how mad I am. Just love numbers. Right, numbers, let's talk numbers, let's talk weight. I got on scales yesterday morning because I weigh in on a Friday for my Slimming World group, and I'd lost 3 pounds. So I weighed in yesterday at 9 stone 6 pounds. This came as a bit of a surprise, wasn't expecting that. But looking back on last week, you know, I've got a problem with my right knee at the moment, and it's nothing other than it's painful. I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know why it's suddenly flared up. And I wake up in the morning, it's fine. I go for a long walk, it's fine. I sit down, I stand up after half an hour, and it crunches. So I think what maybe happened last week was I banged on a quick 2.5 pounds with the help of some sugar and maybe a bit of fluid retention on my knee, because my knee is feeling a bit freer this week. It's still painful, but it's feeling a bit freer. So I think I might have had a bit of inflammation in it and settled down a bit. So the 2.5 pound I put on last week, I've taken off this week plus a ½ pound. So I'm quite happy with that. That's fair. I'm around the kind of weight I expected to be at this time of year, and I don't think I can ask for a lot more than that, and I'm certainly grateful. Every day this week we've gone for a walk, and we love our walk, we enjoy it, and we're meeting so many people every day that are the same people over and over again, aren't we, Joe?
Yeah.
We get to speak to the same people most days, and it's become quite a community of walkers. It's really nice. Even down to the fact there's a couple now who must be my mum's age and my mum's late 80s who are going up the hill every day that we walk up. And the gentleman said yesterday, I swear this hill gets steeper every day. And I thought, I'm not the only one who thinks that. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thinks that. But you know, it's really good because most of the people we see out walking every day are my age and plus. And it's good to see that people still care enough about their health and their well-being to want to get out there and do something about it. When I was walking with Joe yesterday, he told me about something he'd heard on a podcast or a video he was watching. And there's a guy called Sadhguru, or Guru Sad, I don't know which way around it is. It's S-A-D-H, his name. And he had said on this podcast, or whatever Joe was listening to, that you have no control at all over the hand of cards that you dealt, but you do have control or decisions you can make about the game you play with those cards. And that really kind of spoke to me in the way that, yeah, you know, we could be born into poverty in India, or we could be born into wealth and luxury in a major city somewhere in the world, but that doesn't encompass the whole of our destiny. We can still make choices, and the thing that spoke to me, I think, is that it's not just kind of set and you have to follow that path, but at any time along that path you can detour, you can change lanes, you can get into a faster vehicle, or you can get onto a bicycle or something. In effect, you don't have to just do it because that's what life says you have to just do. And I think with seeing this guy in his 80s, you know, walking up this hill, I'm thinking to myself, at that age, would I bother? But it just shows me that it doesn't matter what age you are, what financial situation you're in, whether you're in a dysfunctional family or a very functional family, whether you've got money, whether you've got health, there's always a better choice if the choices you're making are getting you into trouble. And I was thinking about my relationship with food over the years and how I would say the majority of my family are dysfunctional around food. And it wasn't until I met my husband and then became part of another family that weren't dysfunctional around food that I realised just how bad we were. And one of the things that came to me as I was walking this morning and thinking about it was, when I used to go to my in-laws lived in a gorgeous place, a lovely village in Yorkshire, in a beautiful big bungalow and everything, and they were posh. And I say that in the nicest possible way because my father-in-law was a director, Boots Chemist Company, and he was a lovely man. And my mother-in-law a unique woman. She was smashing, but she had her little quirks and things. But they had worked their way up into a better lifestyle from being born in very modest, ordinary circumstances. But we used to go there, and we would arrive mid-morning, and mother-in-law would make milky coffees and things, and the biscuit barrel would come out, and everybody would have a biscuit, including me. And I'd sit there then thinking, is it polite to take another one? Is it greedy to take another one? I'll wait till somebody else takes one and then I can take one. And nobody ever did. Nobody ever took a second one. Like in my family, it would have been get a packet of biscuits out, put them on a plate, and between however many of us were sitting there, 2, 3, 4, 5, if we were all there, we'd just eat that packet of biscuits. They didn't do that, and I'd never come across that before. And I got so desperate because I had to have another biscuit that I would then volunteer to take the tray away with the coffee cups and the biscuit barrel so that I could quietly take the top off the biscuit barrel in the kitchen, nick a couple of biscuits out of it and pop to the toilet. And I was thinking about it when I was walking with Joe this morning, and I made myself smile because how bloody daft is that? They wouldn't have batted an eyelid if I took a second or a third biscuit because they were generous people. But I was worried about my reputation, my self-image. But underlying all that, what was the most important thing? Not my reputation, not my self-image, my greed. My greed. So it made me into a dishonest person. I'd nick a couple of biscuits and hide in the bathroom. I look back on it and I have to smile now, but it's actually quite sad. Something I was listening to on Rich Roll was about like communicating, and I just said to you, Joe and I talk when we're out walking, and I was listening to something on a Rich Roll podcast in the middle of the night, and it was a really old podcast from about 2014, and the guy was explaining on there why communicating with men is something you should not do face to face. And I thought, well, Joe and I do have face to face. Sorry, that's my phone. Joe and I do have face-to-face conversations, but we have much better and more in-depth conversations when we're walking side by side. And he explained it in this podcast last night because he was saying, if you're a woman and you're used to women's ways, women natter. We sit down over a cup of coffee face-to-face and we talk, or we get together and face-to-face we're at it, we're encouraging each other, we're excited and all these things, but we do it face-to-face. When a woman falls out with you, immediately she'll go behind your back and everything is done back to back. Now men are very different creatures because men do everything side by side. Purely because face to face for a man is confrontation. And it's like built into their genetics. So if you're going to get as a woman, you get hyper excited about something and you're in your fella's face, he takes that as confrontation. So you may well not get the response you wanted. And men don't communicate face to face the way a woman does. They communicate side by side, like on the terraces at the football or at the bar in the pub, something like that. And they tend to, if you're in a pub and you watch them, men will sit next to each other at a table in a pub. Whereas if you go for a drink with a girlfriend, we tend to sit opposite each other. And it just made me realise Joe and I have some of our best conversations about health, weight loss, well-being, exercise, all that sort of thing, when we're actually walking side by side. And it explained it to me and I thought, yeah, it is, because you're not, even if you've got a man in your life, a husband, a partner, a boyfriend, a son, and you want to actually discuss something with them that is a problem to you, do it when you're side by side, when you're sitting next to them in the car, preferably when you're driving and they're not, or when you're out walking with them, because it's not so confrontational. Yeah, I don't know if that's of any use to anybody at all, but it really spoke to me this morning. Talking about exercise and men. A couple of weeks ago we showed you the air bike that we bought between us. And for a week or so it was great. We were going great guns on it, and then we developed a problem. I've told you before on my podcast, my videos, that Joe had a hip replacement about 18 months ago and he's got to have a second one at some point. And all of a sudden I noticed when we were walking, he's starting to limp. He was stiff and he was shoulder down, limping. I said, what's the problem? And he said, that bike, it's making my hip bad. And that was the hip that he's had done, so it's got to last him like 25 years. And we actually analysed it and compared it to the bike he rides out on the road, his road bike, and to the other exercise bike that we had still got, and discovered that the pedals were about 5.5 inches further apart than on the other two bikes. And because when you've had a hip replacement you have problems like externally rotating your hip, it was actually pulling his hip out of alignment. So unfortunately it's had to go back. Because he paid half of it and I'd paid half, and I wouldn't have got enough use out of it to warrant like spending 1,200 quid on something. It went back. But I just wanted to say publicly thank you to the company we bought it from, because they were brilliant. We were initially going to buy one of these bikes over the internet, you know, from a company in, I think it was Belgium or somewhere, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
And we decided, no, we would go for a different make. We'd go for the Taurus one, and we would buy it locally from Powerhouse Fitness, because we've used them before. Our other exercise bike came from them about 7 or 8 years ago. And I am so glad that we did, because when we came on this problem, we would not have been able to get our money back from an internet company in Belgium. And also thank you to my friend Budgie, who has a removals van, because all we had to do was get it back to the shop. The shop's literally 1.5 miles away, but the bike weighs about 11.5 stone, so it's not something you could fold up and put in the back of your car. So thanks to Budgie and thanks to Dominic, problems sorted. Joe's hip is now reverting back to his normal. He's back on his original exercise bike, and we're back to walking. Well, we were still walking anyway. But yeah, that's the saga of the air bike. Brilliant piece of kit, absolutely flipping brilliant, but not if it was going to cripple him. Hey Joe?
No, no good in that respect.
It was no good in that respect, but we would recommend one for anybody who's interested and doesn't have problems with the hips. Right, so I've told you what I've done this week. I've told you that's my...
Sorry, you're creeping closer to the camera.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, is that better?
You creep quite a lot, yeah. There you go, yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
You'll have to give me a squeak to stand on or something so I know where I am. That's my weight news, £3 off. Now, any group news? Our group is still on Zoom because of the lockdown that we've just come through. Our group decided, or I don't know whether the company decided or a consultant decided, to stay on Zoom until at least the new year. And it's working fine because lots of people support it that way, because we have a very enthusiastic couple of hundred people. Now the news from Slimming World is that with effect from the 3rd of January, the fees, subs, whatever you want to call them, membership fees are going up by £1 a week. So it'll be £5.95 for under 60s, £5.65 for over 60s, and then it'll be the same increase if you're buying countdowns. I realised this morning that fortunately my countdown, my 6-week countdown, runs out next week. So my intention, I texted my consultant and said, if I buy a 12-week countdown, do I get it at current price? And that is yes. Yeah, the answer is yeah. So if you've had a countdown and it's due to run out before Christmas or before the 3rd of January, buy a new one. You'll be able to buy a new one before then. If you've been a weekly payer and you want to save a few quid before they put the price up, then the week before the 3rd of January, buy a 12-week countdown at the old price, because it's going to save you, what, a tenner? Anyway, that's just my bit of news from group. I really don't have a lot to share this week. It's been a difficult week in some ways, but it's been a good week in others. We're creeping close to Christmas, and I for one will be glad when it's over, because I say it every year, I don't like Christmas. Bar humbug. I've done all the things I need to do for Christmas, and now I'm just waiting to get it over with. Weight news, food news, nothing exciting. We've just been eating our normal food and enjoying it. We've been not perfect, but whose life is, you know? I think a lot of people are facing tough times, and it's very stressful. and then Christmas on top of all that. The only thing I will say is I'm hearing a lot of people who are very grateful about the fact that they haven't got to go to endless Christmas parties and food functions this year. Because if you're doing Slimming World and you've got to do all that, you know, at least some of the pressure's taken off this year. And then another lady said, I'm glad I haven't, because none of my party dresses fit anyway. I've had a difficult lockdown. You can see the good and the bad in everything. But as I say, it's been a very ordinary kind of up and down week for us. Wet walks every day. And yeah, what can I say? Nothing more to add. So sorry if I've waffled on about a lot of nothing, but we will be back next week. Oh, I did ask last week, didn't I, for people to write comments about their history, their dieting history, their weight loss, gains, losses, whatever. And I have to say, reading those comments, I was really moved, because it helped me to see that a lot of what I've been through and thought I was a victim of, I've not been like in a unique situation. Other people have been there too. And I think it really helps to read stuff like that when you see that other people have done what you've done, or similar, or have struggled more, or struggled in the same way, and you feel the empathy. And I want to thank everybody who did write those comments. It was very difficult to choose somebody, and it's not like choosing a winner. It's not that at all. There are no winners and there are no losers. I chose this particular lady because I felt so much positivity from what she'd written, and that was what I needed this week. I needed some positivity, and Summer Rose, you gave me it. So if you could send me an email on Janiac, JANIAC 7 at googlemail.com, let me know an address you would like me to send your Christmas card to, and we'll put a little gift in the card. It's worth going back into that video and reading what Summer Rose had written, because there's a lot of positive stuff in there. And also evidence of struggles, but proof that whatever hand we're dealt, we can choose what game to play with those cards. So yeah, we'll be back next week. Take care everybody and stay safe. Bye.